Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I will be answering your questions about LV. I posted in my Instagram stories a picture of one of my old LV uniforms because I've been going through like a closet purge and cleanup of my entire house and just going through some old stuff, and I found one of my old uniforms and I figured I would answer some of your questions. Now, just right up front, I will do an entire separate video, either a Q&A part 2 or just a whole separate video about the uniform, the variations of the uniform. It has changed over the years while I was there. It's obviously changed since I've been there. Just kind of going into it with you a little more in depth. So I'll focus more on uniform and stuff in another video. But for today's video, I'll just be answering your questions. But I will answer the first question. The very first question, someone responded, LV made in Tunisia? Really? There is a line in Tunisia? There is not. That was just the uniform. It's like how clothing is made, produced in other countries. LV is not made in Tunisia, just some of the uniforms at that point. I don't know where they're made now. Another question, were you given a staff discount? Yes, we sure were given a staff discount. The employee discount was probably the best perk of working for LV. And my understanding is since I've left, it's really dramatically declined in terms of the percentage. I did an entire video about the LV employee discount policy because they got a lot stricter since I left. When I worked for LV personally, it was 30% off whatever was in the store that was available. So like nothing brand new. You had to wait a certain amount of time for something new. If it was a limited edition item, you couldn't buy it at all with your discount unless it's still left over after a certain amount of time, usually like 6 months, I think. And then there was such a thing called the RTV system, which was return to vendor. And these were items that were marked down because they had some kind of a defect or they were damaged in store. But by damage, I mean like literally a tiny nick or scratch or mark so that it was imperfect. It could not be sold to a client. So they offered it to employees for 70% off. But the way it worked, it was like a lottery. You just couldn't purchase it from your store. If something was damaged in your store, you had to return, and then they had an inventory. And so when we, the employee, looked it up in the system, we could see what was available in the RTV system. You would submit a wish list with your credit card on file, and then if it was approved, then you would receive it. So that's how we got stuff for 70% off. Other seasonal items, seasonal ready-to-wear, seasonal shoes, we would get 85% off or more. And in one case, there was, I call it a fire sale. I think that's what we called it just in general. I don't know if that was the official term, but that's what the employees called it. It was the shoe, like end of season shoe fire sale. And you would go, it was near the flagship stores. And if you could travel there in person, all the shoes that were left over at the end of the season were available for employees to purchase. You had to show your ID. And it was $49. All the shoes were $49. It was so crazy. I got a ton of shoes, and yeah, that was the LV fire sale. So that was probably the best perk, but they don't have that anymore. What was your pay rate towards the end of your employment? And actually this kind of goes hand in hand with another question I got several times. Did we receive commission? Did CAs or SAs earn a commission from client purchases? When I worked for LV and I left, it's been at least like 15 years, but I was there for a long time. I was working there for many years. We did not earn commission. This was pre-commission era. So all the employees were hourly. However, if the store exceeded their sales quota for the quarter, everyone in the store would receive a bonus. I mentioned in my other videos that the first store I worked at, we never met the quota. I don't know what it was. We just never met that quota. So I just was like, yeah, this is like unattainable. But then I moved to a different boutique that was brand new. And so because it was a brand new boutique, we didn't have the prior year's sales to match. I think they compared us to like the boutiques within department stores that were nearby. And so because that amount was a lot lower, of course, we exceeded the projected sales or whatever for the quarter. So every single quarter, that entire time that I worked at that other boutique that I opened up, it was a new standalone boutique. The state did not have a boutique at the time. I bonused out every single quarter and it was amazing. But I have no idea how much that bonus was. It was pretty significant. I would say it was at least a paycheck or more. So we didn't receive commission back then. However, nowadays client advisors do earn a commission from sales. It is dependent on the category. And so for example, the LV monogram canvas bags, like the leather goods, those are the most popular items. They sell easily. They sell themselves pretty much. I forget what the percentage is, but it's so low, like not even 1%, I want to say. It comes out to like if you sell a Speedy or Neverfull, the client advisor gets like $1 or $2 or something like that. The percentage is a little higher with fine jewelry and hard-sided trunks, you know, stuff like that, accessories. So I did not earn a commission, but client advisors do earn a commission now, but it's like almost nothing compared to other similar luxury brands. What do they do with returned items? Returned items are turned right around and sold to other clients. Generally. For example, if the item was returned because it was defective, then it would not be sold to clients. So depending on the condition of the returned item, if it was still in perfect saleable condition, then the item is turned around and put out to sell to other clients. If it was returned because it was defective, then depending on the defect, it was either damaged out and destroyed, either on site, or it was sent back to the warehouse and then they would destroy it. Or if it was defective, meaning like for whatever reason the store accepted the return, but it was not in saleable condition to clients, but was in saleable condition to employees, like damaged and otherwise in saleable condition to employees, then it would be considered part of the employee sale, and then it was up for grabs for employees to buy at a discount with their employee discount. This is a good question. And again, I've done videos about all of these, but I did a video about this, and it's one of the most common questions I get is, how do I authenticate an LV bag that I bought secondhand? And check out my video where I talk about, is this an authentic bag? LV does not authenticate bags. LV client advisors do not authenticate bags. If you attempt to bring a bag that you purchased secondhand or whatever, if you were gifted a bag and you are questioning its authenticity, if you attempt to bring it into a boutique and ask the client advisor or the manager, is this real? Is this an authentic bag? Is this counterfeit? They will not officially, or they're not supposed to, tell you officially, yes, this is a counterfeit bag. You should never hear the word counterfeit come out of the mouth of an LV employee. What they will tell you is, this is not an LV bag, or they'll say, this is not one of our items, or something to that effect, that this is not ours. The way you can kind of get around that is if you go in with your bag in question and ask them how much would it cost to repair, and send it out for repair, like kind of play chicken with them. That's pretty much the only way, because if you do bring it in and either one of the client advisors or the repair specialist or the manager, when they're doing the repair intake and estimate, they'll either tell you straight up, this is not one of our bags, this is not an LV bag, we can't take this in, we can't repair this. Or if they're unsure or they just don't want to deal with you, like you're being problematic, or you're just not accepting that it's, you know, not a real bag, if you insist that it is real and you want it to be repaired, sometimes the manager will, just to shut you up or just to get you out of the store, they'll take it in, being pretty sure that it is a counterfeit bag, but they'll still send it out to the repair center for the official rejection from the repair facility. This way that the manager is absolved of, you know, breaking that bad news, I guess, to the client. It's not coming from the manager, it's coming from the repair facility. They will not repair a counterfeit bag. So that's pretty much the surefire way to find out if your bag is counterfeit. Have you ever called the police for clients? And this kind of goes hand in hand. I can't find the exact other question. There was another question asking, has anyone ever shoplifted LV bags? Let me tell you the story of our most brazen shoplifter. We've seen the news recently where there are these, I don't know how they describe these types of robberies, where it's like in broad daylight and it's just a pack of people, like a bunch of people just going in and just wilding out in the store and grabbing as much as they can. And then the employees are kind of helpless and they just stand there and, you know, they don't want to get hurt. They're not going to try to stop them. Just no shame in the game. These robberies, these thefts just happen in plain view, out in the open, and, you know, there's too many people to try to stop. When I worked for LV, that didn't happen. That type of robbery, theft didn't happen. They were a little more discreet, but they did often work in tandem with each other, meaning like there was more than one. And it was a whole coordinated effort to distract the employees so that the one or two other thieves could steal what was on display. And a lot of stores now, the display bags do have a security tag. They're attached on a metal, you know, wire or whatever. We didn't do that back then. So probably the largest theft that ever happened while I worked for LV was one afternoon. A bunch of people were in the store at once and we were helping them. We were just super, super busy. And then it just suddenly was not busy. Everyone just kind of left. Nobody bought anything. And then as it turned out, my manager went around to the front of the store. All the bags on one display case was just gone, like all the bags. I remember this time, I forget the name of the collection, but it was the one that had the perforations, like the perforated LVs. There was a Speedy, there was a couple Speedies, there was, I forget the name of the other bag, like a crossbody. It was something like 4 or 5, at least 4 or 5 bags or more were gone. The entire shelf display, the wallets and everything. And we're like, what the hell? Because we had security, you know, we had security guards, but when they reviewed the tapes, they went back and it was several women, several men. They didn't all come in together. I think it was like 1 or 2, like one came in by herself, 2 more came in together, and then 3 more came in right after. And then they kind of just like posted themselves up and were like distracting us to show them different bags on the other side of the store so that the front was completely unattended. And they just, as quick as they could, grab everything and then they just left and literally no one even noticed. So that was probably the worst theft that ever happened. My manager did call the police, but you know, what are you gonna do? My manager called the police, they reviewed the tapes, they took a report, but I don't think anything really came of it. Another question about my uniform. Can you please put the uniform on? Yes, I will put my uniform on in my follow-up video. And then another question, they didn't ask for it back. So I did a video sharing all the perks and like all the free stuff that I got from LV over the years, including the uniform. I was able to keep my bag, like my little pochette waist bag. I had 2 of those. We were given gifts. We were given limited edition items that were produced during that time that were made for VIP clients and also for LV employees just as a thank you gift. And so yeah, we did get some free stuff. It was great. And they did not ask for my uniform back. I got to keep all my uniforms, I got to keep all my bags, and I cherished them to this day. And also the pin. We had like a little LV gold little lapel pin. Okay, one last question. Anyone ever fired for reselling or stealing? So not to my knowledge, no colleague of mine was ever fired for selling anything or, you know, reselling anything. No one had ever stolen anything or was fired for stealing anything. I mean, no one ever stole anything. They also did bag checks, by the way. So like you would not, I mean, no one stole that I know of. When I did the video discussing the LV discount policy, they were very clear in the policy that if you did resell the items that you purchased with your LV employee discount, one of the punishments is that you could be terminated. And so no one I know has ever been fired for reselling anything, and no one has stolen anything. I think I mentioned this in my toxic work culture video. The only time that I know somebody was fired or, you know, let go was the shoe manager. He was fired just because he wasn't performing, like he wasn't selling as much as he was supposed to, you know, he wasn't meeting his sales goals or whatever. So as far as I know, that's the only reason that employees were fired, was they were not meeting their sales goal. It wasn't for any kind of anything derogatory, you know, no bad behavior. They just weren't making their sales, and so they would cut them loose and find someone else. That also is a question I've gotten before, is why did I leave LV? And again, check out my other videos. I left, it was on very good terms. I loved working for LV. I enjoyed my time there. I had a great set of colleagues. I left because my time was up and I went to law school. That was the only reason that I left. I was not fired. I left on very good terms. In retail, and especially in luxury retail, it is very common for there to be kind of bad blood with sales associates, client advisors, managers leaving to go work for a competitor. There shouldn't be bad blood if an employee is leaving to pursue another opportunity. You know, it should be okay. In my experience when I worked for LV, when employees did leave for that reason, which was to work for a competitor, they were not very welcome. It was almost like a hostile work environment for them, their final 2 weeks, if they gave 2 weeks notice. Fortunately for me, I left for law school, and so it was fine. If you have any other questions you want me to answer, I will answer them in an upcoming video. But I will answer all the uniform questions in another video, and I'll show you all the different uniforms. Some of them were so unflattering and so ugly, and even my managers were like, this is awful, so uncomfortable. I think the uniforms they have now, which are like the very, at least for the women, they have now the blouses are like very flouncy sleeved and just very super pretty, very flattering cuts and materials, but that has not always been the case. Stay tuned for that video. With that, I had a great time answering your questions. Let me know if you have any other questions. Thank you so much for watching, and I will catch you in my next video. Bye.